All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending our discussion on taking charge of your life. My name is Michelle Smalls, and I am the host, and I have my guest, Debrah Mathis. Um, just want to give you a little background on myself. I am a owner of Whole Body Essentials and a HR consultant. It's my slash. It's my other hat. Um, and it's just some of the little background as to why I created Whole Body Essentials. Just when I was kind of going through my moments in my younger day, I started to experience different things in my life. Of course, stress is one of them. Just hormones changing, body changing as as we age. And then I started to try to find different remedies, natural remedies that kind of work better for me and my body. And so it just kind of felt like I wanted to be able to share that information and that space with everyone else that I could actually talk to that would listen to me about it. And so it kind of helped me get into just the whole natural remedy realm. What do you do? How do you do it? But in the most natural way. And so that's kind of what led me into Whole Body is Essential, and I'm really proud of it. And I'm really loving the space now that we're in, that we're able to start sharing information and really talking about some of the things that are affecting us and other ways that we can remedy some of the things that we go through in a more natural way, opposed to the more conventional way of taking sometimes medication that if we don't have to, we can use other routes. So I'm going to pause right there because I really want to introduce Debrah Mathis, who is a personal coach. And she does a lot in her space. And I want her to kind of elaborate more on what she does and what she can kind of bring to this discussion as we move forward. Debrah?
Thank you, Michelle. Good evening, everyone. As Michelle introduced me, I am Deborah Mathis. I'm the founder of E2S Solutions Professional Coaching here in Dallas, Texas. And I am a personal coach and I specialize in leadership development. I work with small business owners, executives, entrepreneurs in developing their overall attributes, their potential, so that they can really perform at their highest and optimal best. And what I cover with my clients is health and wellness because in a leadership role, and just people from all walks of life, when we talk about our health and wellness, whether it's at home or at work, sometimes we have to take a look at all aspects of our lives as to what we really want to improve upon. So I help people navigate their lifestyle terrain, if you will, towards their journey of improvement.
Mm, wow. Thank you, Deborah. And that was a great introduction into kind of what we're talking about tonight, and which is stress and its effects on the body. I know we've talked about this previously, and and we start to kind of go, into some of the things that can happen to us. But I want to start this topic off of just talking about what stress is, right? Because there's good stress and there's bad stress, right? We can,
Right.
stress helps us at work. It helps us to sometimes excel in something that we're trying to do. Sometimes good stress at home can help us perform better in our home life, in our relationships. And so there's good stress. But what happens when the bad stress steps in and it starts to kind of tear at the relationship? You're starting not to be able to cope with situations and problems that normally you could if you weren't stressed.
Right.
It just, what do you think about that? Because, as a personal coach, I'm sure you get a lot of people coming to you with a lot of different things, and I'm sure stress is at the realm of it. So, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, Absolutely, Michelle. What I do see as clients come to me with their goals that they want to accomplish, some of the stress that they're under is humongous because they're responsible for a large number of people,
Mhm.
whether it's work and trying to balance home life. And what I really like to start with them is, let's first take a look at what are your health and wellness beliefs.
Mm.
Because society has filled us with so many messages about health and wellness. And some of those messages contain information that is meant to help prevent illness and to help protect our well being. And other messages perpetuate beliefs or myths about health and wellness and aging. We don't like to
Mm.
talk about aging, so
Right.
we talk about anti aging, you know. Uh,
Like we can
but
stop it somehow.
nevertheless, yeah, we do age, and what's the going trend around all of that? So we want to look our best, be our best, act our best, and with those messages that come from so many different sources, whether it's magazines, newspaper, TV, radio, even our family and friends, we have all these messages bombarding us. So I like to help them take a look at what is your belief around health and wellness. And I'll give you a couple of examples here.
Mhm.
Um, One, I hear, I cannot lose weight that I need to lose. It's almost impossible.
Oh,
Or
yes.
I don't have time to exercise. With women, my wife, I'll just say people here, my wife or my husband wants me to lose weight because he or she is embarrassed by my looks.
Mm.
Or as long as I can get enough sleep to get by, I'm fine. And entrepreneurs are great at this. They eat, sleep the business 24/7. So they're really going on minimum sleep. Even your road warriors, the business travelers, those who travel for their business,
Mhm.
they have these crazy schedules because they have to be at their client's site. So
Right.
they're getting up maybe at 3 a.m. to be in another city by 7 a.m. and at
Mhm.
the client's office at 8 a.m. So when you have that in a jam-packed day, and
Mhm.
then that home, there's a lot of balls that tend to be dropped. So that's what I usually start with them on. What is your belief about health and wellness?
As you're talking and I'm thinking, and I've been in that life. I've been in that life where, you're running. You know what I mean? It's like nothing else matters at that moment. You're at work, you're trying to deliver results, you're trying to be ahead of the game, you're trying to be that top performer, and you're thinking like, as long as I get a little sleep, maybe
Right.
I get a little jog in one day, or possibly I might be able to maybe grab a smoothie or something, right? You're thinking you're doing the right
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking you're being healthy, but I realized that when I was running and working 15, 16-hour days some days, and working on the weekends, and I got the cell phone going, and I'm like, I'm all into health, but I found myself gaining weight. I was starting to eat late. I was starting to be really cranky with my family, and I was starting to get sick. I was starting to get pains in my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm relating, and you're right. It's like, what is your belief? And the other question is, are you sticking to your belief? Whatever your health and wellness belief is, whether it's good or bad, are we sticking with it? And if it's bad, then you got to figure out how to break the bad habits. And if it's good, then you got to get yourself to stick with it. So, I mean, I'm just resonating on what you're saying because it's very true. We can get really caught up really quick when it comes to stress, and it just starts to tear at you so bad.
Yeah, Michelle. And the one main question that I ask them is, what's keeping you up at night?
Hmm.
What is keeping you up at night? And let's start there because that is usually the core behind what has that person stressed, you know?
Right. Mhm.
So, and it also influences their energy levels. For example, when we talk about our energy, we've had many conversations as we are been working together here on different projects. When we talk about our energy levels, we either have that energy to motivate us to get some action done, we're in our flow, we're in the zone, and we can get a lot of things going because we're under normal circumstances where everything is going well.
Mm.
However, when we may get that call, as I'm using a work example, when we
Mhm.
may get that call to say, if you're working for someone else from your boss that says I want to see you in my office. Oh my gosh, doesn't that energy change real
Oh my
quickly?
God. Are you
It kind of
kidding me? Your heart is
down.
going a mile a minute. All you're thinking about is, oh my God, if I lose my job, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna pay the bills? It gets really crazy really quick.
It really
So,
does. Is that call from
oh
your
my
boss
God.
or HR wants to see you? Oh my
Oh
God.
God. And yeah, and you know what? We've been on both realms, right? We're both from the HR world. And so you
Yeah.
know when you're like, hey, can I see you in my office? It's like you're walking to the dungeon. Right? And you're like and you're like, it was nothing. It was I just needed you to fill out a form.
Uh, exactly. But here's the kicker. When they say I need to see you in my office tomorrow morning, boy,
Oh
and you
God.
get that call at 4:59, your whole world just
Oh,
shuts down for the rest of that evening until
Jesus.
that next morning. So
Oh my God. You know what? And listen, I'm gonna pause you there because I was reading an article and it says that literally, like when your body feels a threat, it goes
mhm.
into this mode of like I think it's called fight and I think it's fight and plight or fight
Yeah,
and
fine.
right, exactly. And it basically the body is gearing itself up and it's getting ready to fight this threat, and so the body is going in literally into overtime, and it's like and when nothing happens it's like it starts to just you get these situations happening a good couple of times and then it starts to break down the immune system. So it's interesting how the body starts to gear up and protect itself, but then when things come crashing down or it calms down and nothing ever happens, it's like it's just weakening your body, your mind, your immune system. And then this is when you start to hear about these diseases and stuff.
Exactly. And not on, in addition to that, it impacts, like I said, your energy spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, even your environment, and of
Mm,
course, personally. So, um, what I like to share a story with you here about, especially those that may be thinking about starting a business.
mm,
And we talk, and I'll just make it real short here, how they have this great business idea, they have a business plan, and they go out to try to get a loan or funding with a venture capitalist or angel investor, however they want to try to obtain this funding. And they've been told that either they are a great cook or they're great at what they do, and or they with their employer, and the employer says, well, we'll send business your way, just make sure stay connected with me, right?
right. Mm-hmm.
So everybody runs off on this tangent of, everybody told me that I'm good, so I'm going out to start this business. What
Oh boy.
tends to happen is when they get in front of that loan officer and they
Mm-hmm.
take a look at their financials, some of them are politely declined because they're not ready or their business plan doesn't support what they're trying to bring to the market with their product and our service.
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine this. One individual, or I just say a couple of individuals that come to mind that I wanted to work with me. No, that I wanted to work with them. And I said, "Have you sat down and planned out your feasibility plan?" And they like, "Oh, I don't need that. I got my business plan." So here's what they did. They went out, they were able to get the loan, and they bought all this equipment because they pulled down their savings. And when they went to sign
Mm.
the loan, of course, they asked what the collateral going to be. They
Right.
mortgaged their house. So
Mm-mm-mm.
they go and mortgage their house, and then they come to find out, and they draw down their money from the 401k, and then they
Mm-hmm.
that they're in the wrong location because I'm gonna use a laundromat for example. A
Mm-hmm.
laundromat, you may find 10 in the same neighborhood, but
Right.
they went and they're number nine. You
and
know,
and you got and
they're
you got
number
the best
nine.
machines out there.
Yeah,
Right.
and they're wondering, okay, now that I have this open side, where are the customers? Well,
Right.
did you do your market research, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? So, needless to say, they don't have any customers because they didn't plan efficiently or properly. So, they
Right.
just taken on an additional unnecessary stress because
Mm-hmm.
the money's from the 401k from the years that they worked to save that is
Wow.
gone. The
Mm-hmm.
and let's say it's the husband that went out and did this. The wife is hot, not mad.
Hot like fire, girl. Hot like fire.
She's hot because it's what are we going to do now,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So they're having to step back.
Right.
And
Yeah.
many times they are looking for another job to
Mm.
recoup, and they have to
Right.
put that on hold. There's some examples. Another example with entrepreneurs that I've seen is that they got the business going, as everything is going well, and they're getting ready for a product launch, and their business partner comes to them and say, "Hey, we can get before this investor. Everything looks good." But yet, on the personal side, and this is what really where people get out of sync. I don't like to call it out of balance, but out of sync.
Mm-hmm.
And this causes stress because the entrepreneur is so focused on getting all the financials ready. He puts off time with his children going to baseball games or whatever that special
By
event
the way,
is.
it's mounting stress, by the way.
He's
Just letting
taking
you know, this is mounting stress.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So he puts off that vacation, that romantic vacation that he promised his wife that they
Mm.
would take for their next anniversary. He even
Wow.
puts off going to church because the client is able to meet them on Sunday for a tea time, the same time the church starts. So,
Wow.
but he rationalizes saying that when things settle down, I'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
That's the rationale. Like, when things settle down,
Right.
and don't they realize, the family, the son, the children, don't they realize that I'm doing this all for them? But
Mm-hmm.
here's what he doesn't factor in, or she doesn't factor in, Michelle, is that he can't even really sleep. He's not really taking good care of himself because the doctor has told him, hey, your blood pressure is kind of high there. You need to slow things down, right? And what does he
Mm-hmm.
say? Oh, I'll take care of that later. When what? When things settle down.
Right.
So lo and behold, he's in his home office trying to prepare for this client meeting, but he is having signs of a heart attack.
Mm.
And unfortunately, in this case, this person dies.
Oh my
Some
God.
have some have strokes, but yet they have put their the business has consumed them.
Mm.
So they haven't
Right.
really taken a look at being in alignment before they even began the business. Is this even in alignment with my personal goals and what I envision the business being for my life, because
Right.
you have to remember that it is a place you're going to be, not just 9 to 5, but in those
Hmm.
startup years, it's going to be 14-hour days, 7 days
Right.
a week.
Right.
And that stress on, as I just mentioned, all
Hmm.
6 areas of a person's life. So, Michelle, I would like to bounce it over to you
Hmm.
as to what are some of the being from a holistic here, as you have found your products here, what have
Hmm.
you read about stress and its impact on the mind and the body?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that because usually what triggers stress is some level of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And fear is a direct has a direct correlation to stress because anytime you fear something, that your stress, your anxiety levels go up. Period.
Absolutely.
And
Mm-hmm.
when fear enters the body, that's when the body starts to kind of step in and try to protect you. It's trying to protect you. So different things are happening. So those trigger points are happening. And so when it comes down to some of the things that I've read is that number one, it's that you've got to have some emotional intelligence, right? You've got to be able to get right. You got to get smart when it comes down to your emotions because what it is that many problems are going to happen in a lot of people's lives, right? But it's how you respond to it is how and it's how and what effects does it have on the body. So I'd have to start and say it's that it starts with emotional intelligence and understanding things in its own place and its own perspective. There's things that happen in our lives as far as relationships that we allow to happen, right? That there's
Exactly.
fear of being alone. So you may stay in a stressful relationship for
Mm-hmm.
years and it
For
has
you.
its for years, right? And then it has all these really negative effects on the body, right? The
Mm-hmm.
the other thing is that you're dealing with being in a stressful job. You've accepted a job that's probably not something that you wanted to do. You're doing it because you've got a family and you're trying to support your family. So you've taken a position that probably is taking or literally sucking the life out of you. And that again, and the fear of losing that job or losing income coming into the home puts all this stress on the body. So it's really about understanding who you are, how you respond to things, and what you need to do to get yourself in the mental state so that you can control or take charge of your life. Now, there are different remedies out there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you've got. I mean, you can see we've got the health magazines. Hey, if you do this, or if you get on this, or if you try that, that's going to work. But what it comes down to is that it goes back to your emotions, your thinking. What are you thinking? How do you feel about yourself? What do you value most important about you? Do you want to live? And what's your quality of life that you believe that you should have? And when you establish that, then everything you need to start putting in its place. Your health, how you deal with home situations, or
Mm-hmm.
if it's a relationship that you need to get out of because it's not producing anything for you, it's not adding value to you, it's not giving you ease, then you may need to get out of that relationship so that you can do what? You can get better and not fear loss, but embrace yourself so that you can have a better response to a relationship that's more healthy. So go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
No, go
just
ahead.
and I mean, and really, and then moving on from there, I mean, then it's really just starting to put things in perspective. At work, I mean, you may have to look at your job situation. It may call you going to school, maybe getting into something else that may be better suited for you. And like you was talking and mentioning about getting out of your job and going and owning your own business, that's stress, right?
Mm,
And but we're always
ab-
trying to things to better ourselves. And I would say, in response to that, you have to be careful. you should excuse me, you should always do all your research first, because you may be putting yourself in a worse financial position by opening
Mm-hmm.
up a business without doing your research and getting some help. And it's only going to cause more stress on yourself. And because if you didn't have a bad relationship, you may end up having one, because right, of all the stress that you didn't put on the family to try to get this dream off the ground that you really haven't 100% really figured out if it's going to work. So having some intelligence in that area will help you try to discern the right things to do at the right time when it comes to your career. And I also think that that when you again, there's remedies out there. You can exercise. That's big. Me. You know how I am with fasting, right? I love to fast. I'm a juice faster all day long. I'll fast when I have an issue. I turn to as many herbal solutions as I can. Herbals don't solve all the problems, but yes, it does. It works on the preventive side if you start to understand your body, and when you start to know when it's out of sync, you can absolutely start to use some of the things. And we'll get into it in a little bit, but there are some things that I had to start doing for myself because I've experienced all of what Deborah has been talking about. I mean, I've been laid off, I've been in bad relationships, I've had stress at home. I've gotten sick. God, thank you. I haven't had anything serious major happen, but I've been in the hospital for, exhaustion or, things like that. So these things are real. And I will have to tell you that you got to be careful because this thing could take you out. And I don't think, at least in my opinion, there's nothing in this world worth taking you out.
Absolutely. And Michelle, I like to add to that because you absolutely put that beautifully, and that's why we work so well together. When it made me think of some recent project that we have worked on, and in recruiting, and with that in itself, the timeline, the the meeting that objective, we did it successfully. However, it still was had some issues that was very, very stressful for the business overall. We were
Mhm.
able to meet the people objective. We got the recruits in place, but still, from the business side of it, which was uh, beyond our control, so to speak,
Right.
it still rested with leadership to bring the synergy to move the business forward in the way it should go. The focus was severely off. There wasn't the personal or the business mission clearly defined. And if
Right.
that is defined, then of course that's going to create a chaotic environment, create a culture. And how are employees going to really operate in all this chaos? They
Right.
can't.
Right. You're
So
absolutely right. And,
when
and
we take, yeah, go ahead.
no, no, no. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, so with that said, and when I do coaching here, it is I do small business coaching as well
Mhm.
as the leadership development, but for the most part, it is personal because it interrelates with each other, they overlap.
Right.
When you have things going on personally at home, trust me, all that saying about leave your personal issues at the house, that is so bunk. And that's probably an
Good
old
luck.
term,
Excuse me. Good
but
luck. Good
yeah,
luck.
good luck. Unless, with this being the technology intelligence era, they're going to try to replace everybody with robots. I doubt it. But until then, there's no way that you can ask a person to leave their personal issues at home because that's not realistic. So, what
Right.
ends up happening, if there is a stressful situation at the house, do know that's going to put a block on your energy. That's going to put a
Right.
block on creativity. That's going to put a block on you being really fully engaged to perform your responsibilities. So when we take a look at that, we have to take a look at our relationships, whether they're personal or whether they're business related. I
Right.
like to take a look at, and we shared this, and this what makes us work so well, is that you have to take a look at relationships as what is most important with you. As we start businesses, even just when you work for someone, when you start your relationship, sometimes you can get so caught up in marketing. I need to get that client. I need to get that client. I need to get that new client. But what
Right.
about your existing clients?
Right.
Remember that relationship with them where
That's
you
right.
neglect them?
Mm-hmm.
So when you need your quota met, your sales quota met, then you want to call on your old faithfuls.
Right.
Don't be surprised if there's a cold shoulder there and
Mm-hmm.
you scratching your head, well, what's going on? What happened? Why aren't they being receptive to me? Well, you've neglected them. You haven't really taken that time out to keep the relationship nurtured. So when I talk about relationships, with my client, I do when they open up and say, Deborah, this is what I want to talk about today. And they talk about mainly the relationship either with their colleague, mainly directors, when directors have to come together. And of course, everybody is a smart person in the room.
Right.
so,
Hello.
so it's
Everybody got
how
the answer.
everybody has the answer. So how do you get all these brilliant minds in one
Mm-hmm.
accord to move forward on an idea versus making it a griping session? That's
Right.
stressful in itself because you have all
Mm-hmm.
these deadlines to meet. When it comes to a personal relationship, as you and I know,
Right.
from a business standpoint, especially for women and men, for the context here, I always talk about women.
Mm-hmm.
When you're starting a business, you even have to protect yourself financially.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make sure you partner with the right person, whether
Right.
it's professionally or personally, because you cannot afford for someone to come into your business and wipe you out. You
That's the
can't
truth.
can't afford, definitely can't fight on both fronts,
Right.
trying
Right.
to focus on the business and fighting at home is just
Right.
not going to work. So,
Mm-hmm.
if anything, have peace. Try to make peace at home, but yet make peace with yourself, or you fighting
Right.
yourself internally. What are
Mm-hmm.
those issues that are causing you stress? What are those issues that's keeping you up at night? Take a
Mm-hmm.
First of all, what is your definition of health? What is your definition of well-being? What concerns do you have about your habits? What do you feel about the aging process? And how do you see yourself aging? And Michelle, I love your product line that you launched here. So
Mm-hmm.
from that perspective, would you please share the products that you have that can help reduce stress?
Mm-hmm. So there's one. I have a couple, and just so that everyone knows, it's the product line. I kind of focus it really for women. Not that men couldn't, but I kind of pick the top herbs that has proven well for women in breast care and over and our ovaries and stress. So there's one that people probably are familiar with or may not. It's called Quava Quava. Kava. Kava. And what that is, it's an herb. It's a stress reliever or type of herb. And what it is, a lot of people use it in their teas and different things. But what it does is it allows the body to start to relax. And what that does is allow you to get into a better place. Just as you would drink chamomile tea, Quava quava is a little bit stronger, but it works very well. And that's the one that I always suggest to my friends or coworkers or anything like that. When I see that they're under stress, I always tell them, if you don't have chamomile tea, go get some. That's great. That's a great tea to have. The other
Mm-hmm.
thing is that quava quava. Now, and those are good stress relievers. Now, the other thing that a lot of us don't talk about is our hormones. And hormones, as much as we hear our boyfriends or our husband going, "Oh, it's that time again," right? Right, because they know what's coming. It's that, "Row," and it's that, that angry, like everything is slamming all over the place because we know it's that time, right? But
Right.
believe it or not, our hormones play a huge part in our reaction to things, our stress levels. And when we're out of whack and when we're under stress, that's when our hormones tend to kind of go up and down, especially if we're not eating right, we're not drinking a lot
Mm-hmm.
enough water, our alkaline levels are down. Usually your alkaline level should be anywhere over 6.5 and above, is when you're at a good alkaline level, the body has got everything it needs to operate properly. And when it's out of sync, that's when everything goes haywire. So what I've done over the years is that when I found that my hormones were starting to act up, I went and started on this stuff called Vitex. It's Vitex. And what
Mm-hmm.
that does is it works in two different realms. It depends on where you're at in your life. So if you're looking to try to get pregnant, it really works well for those that have fertility issues. It kind of helps the body get itself prepared to help with the whole getting pregnant. On the other spectrum, if you're in that person that's moving into menopause, it actually helps balance out your hormones so that you're not having the effects of menopause, like the hot flashes and the other things that go along with menopause. It actually helps mediate that. It helps balance out your hormones. Now that's a great one. Now another one is called mica, and it works the same way. It's MACA. That particular powder is very good, and you can find it anywhere. I have it. If you're not able to get it from me, I want you to get these things because it works. You can take the powder, and normally what I do is I make a nice, great smoothie in the morning, and I throw a couple of tablespoons of that in my smoothie, and it works really well. And you'd be surprised after using mica for a week. It works. It works like magic. Now the Vitex, you can get it in liquid form or powder form. Either way you get it, you can use the powder form in a smoothie as well. So there's all these great things that I have that helps women with that. There's another one called Mother's Wort. Mother's Wort is very good and it works very well. And again, this is another herb that works very well with your uterus. It helps strengthen your uterus. So all these particular herbs that I'm talking about are very good for fertility or for menopause. So it's got both realms, and there's a couple other ones that I have that are very, very good. Now there's some oils, some natural oils that I have that are very good for kind of keeping away some of the cancers. Depending on what your lifestyle is, of course, there's things called sage oil. Very good for the body. If you don't know
Mm-hmm.
about sage, and Deborah's laughing because you can use sage in a couple of different ways. But the one I'm talking
Right.
about is where you can actually take it, you can ingest it, and it goes in your body, and it does a phenomenal job in protecting the body, cleansing the blood, kind of keeping the body and kind of away from disease as long as you're got other things going right. The other sage that Deborah is talking about is, and we laughed about this, is that you can buy it in different places. But what it is that if you buy sage in a bundle, you can use it around the house, and it cleans the house. It cleans all the negative energy that may be around you that may be causing some of the stress. And Deborah's bearing witness because I put her onto it, and she's using it in the house, and it works, right, Deborah?
does work. It does work.
Right. No, excuse me. It's not. I don't. Excuse me. I don't sell the sage bundles, but I can tell you that it works. So I sell the one that goes in your body, which is great. But if you ever go and you get that sage bundle from if you wherever you can find it, trust me, a Whole Foods I believe has it. You won't be disappointed. It's a great herb. And then I
Yeah.
have other things that I have, but I think the most important thing I want people to walk away with, as far as my product line is that specifically went out and I got the top things that I believe that'll help women stay healthier because we're under so much pressure. A lot of us are
Mm,
playing dual roles in the home. We're the head of household, we're the mom, we're the
mm,
dad, we're trying to hold down a job. We're trying to come home and work with the children, do homework, cook dinner at the same time, keep the house clean, do the laundry, and then somehow find somewhere to sleep for a couple of hours so that we can get up and do it all over again. So
yes.
yeah, exactly, right? I'm preaching to the choir.
Yes.
But
Yeah. The bathtub is
huh?
usually the bathtub is usually your sanctuary, your built-in spot.
Oh my God. How many times have you walked into the bathroom and with some candles and shut and locked the door and said, "Nobody come in. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Just leave me alone.
I need at least 20 minutes." So so yeah, so I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Trust me, folks. You got to do what you got to do. But I think at least that was my goal. I mean, I have a couple of friends, very dear friends that I have that develop breast cancer out of nowhere. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I know them personally, and I know that they've had a lot of stress in their lives for years, whether it's
Hmm.
financial, whether it's relationship, whether it's on the job. I knew that they were under a tremendous amount of stress every day, and they weren't taking 100% care of themselves the way they should, but they were just under stress and developed breast cancer out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And it's just it's running rampant. And I think like we got to do what we can do and help each other, empower each other to start sharing information in different ways that we can keep ourselves healthy because it can happen. And especially us women that are trying to find ways going into business, trying to get off the job and make more money because we're always struggling because we're always looking for different ways to remedy things. But like Deborah was saying, it's like you got to stop, you got to take a moment, and you got to put things in perspective and in order and make sure that everything in every aspect of your life, you're doing the right thing. And just like me, I'm starting off, we've got different business ventures going. But this one I told Deborah, I said, this is the one it's something that I'm building as well. But it's just something that I felt like I wanted to do and love to do because I'm like the health nut. Like if you ask me anything, I got a response. It's like all my friends know that. It's like, oh, I got a headache. Well, have you tried this? Right. Like my leg hurt. Have you done that? And so, you know, right? But yeah, so that's what this is all about. And whether you get it from me or from someone else, I just want everybody to be healthy and remind yourselves that you can't stay in a stress mode. You got to get a hold of your emotional intelligence and start doing things that work better for you and your body. Because I always tell my friends and myself, you're no good to anybody if you're dead. So that's the
Mm,
reality of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So well put, Michelle. And when you told me about whole body essentials, I got so excited because I've been looking for a product that I can offer my clients in part of the health and wellness piece of the business.
Hmm.
When I talk to them about the mindset, it all starts with our thought life.
Right.
So, with that, and particularly women who have just gone through a divorce, and as you mentioned it beautifully, being that head of household again, and women who are workaholics is almost that coming from that pattern of a family, of a single household, is almost perpetuates that beginning of workaholism, believe it or
Right.
not, to where you having to manage all these things in your life, whether you have a family or not. Sometimes if a relationship is not going well, if you in fallout with a sibling or with a parent, then we can tend to bury ourselves in what? Work.
Mm-hmm.
Or more than likely, some may use other vices or other pick up other bad habits. But for the most part, to tune everything out, you dive into work. And that
Right.
in itself can become an addiction. So what I like to do is work with those women to say, hey, stop, pump the brakes for a second, pop the
Right.
brakes. Because you
Mm-hmm.
have to take care of yourself first. You're not indispensable. You're not
That's right.
immortal. And
Exactly.
that job will be there. And believe me, if you haven't heard already, they can get along without you.
Oh, believe that, and believe it from a person who we've done HR, and and the story will be she was a great worker. Can I when can I get that job posted? Because we need some help in this department. So you better
Yeah.
believe that you are indispensable. I mean, you are dispensable. And trust me, it won't take nothing but a heartbeat for them to replace you. So you never put
And,
yourself on the line.
and not only that, they'll have you training your replacement.
Oh
you
God.
know?
So look,
So,
let's all just say hallelujah because we've all been there.
yes, with that
We've all
said,
we've been there.
yeah, the danger part of that in what produces stress is getting complacent. We can get
Mm,
complacent in our jobs. Think, oh, we're going to be there for a while. Things are ever changing, and change is ever constant. So
right,
I've heard many people, especially in the healthcare industry, where they may have been fortunate to be on a job 10 years or more, but if
right.
that business goes into a different direction and you're not
Hmm.
included in that direction they're moving in, I've heard so many
Hello.
individuals that have been on a job 20, maybe even 30 years find themselves unemployed.
Oh my
And
God.
not only that, Michelle, they didn't bother to keep up with their job skills because they
Mm,
got so accustomed and complacent. Oh, I do this job with my eyes closed. Well,
right.
doing that job with your eyes closed, technology is ever improving, especially in
Hmm.
healthcare or in STEM overall. So they never kept up with their job skills. They never went out and looked and done interviewing just to keep
Mm,
up and find out what the interviewing process is these days. Not necessarily to look for a new job, but just
right.
to keep up what's going on. So again, when they get that pink slip or that what's the infamous, we thank you for your services that are no longer
Yeah, it's no longer needed. And by the way, don't bother to pick up your stuff. We'll pack it up for you, and we'll meet you at the front door.
is. So
Yeah.
when they get blindsided big time.
Hmm.
So I really like to try to help people not get in a blindside situation as much as possible. Always prepare.
Right.
Always look at planning
Hmm.
efficiently, planning appropriately, whether
Right.
it's personal or business. And I like to speak to the women who may be in some difficult situations where domestic violence is going on. That's a stressful situation in itself.
Oh my
And
God, yeah.
leaving the home to go to work could be that relief for that man or that woman because they're away from their abuser.
Right.
And that's stress in itself because how can one focus on doing their regular job duties if
Hmm.
they are emotionally um, not up to par or
Right.
being this they're victims of abuse. And I'm bringing this up because in October will be the National Domestic Violence Awareness. So I want to get people to start thinking how they can contribute, whether
Hmm.
individually or as a business, how they can contribute to work toward putting an end toward domestic violence.
Right.
So I recommend to those in the audience, do not be afraid to speak up.
Right.
I will admit, I am a domestic violence survivor.
Mm.
And I used to be ashamed that I never thought I would be one going through that. Never,
Mm.
we think about, we don't want to think about it because it's someone else's issue, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So,
You're right.
but when it happens to you, oh, it's
Hmm.
like, wow. So don't be ashamed to speak up and get help. And
Hmm.
I admonish, I offer a domestic violence sensitivity awareness training for managers and supervisors and businesses to take a look at how to respond to these individuals in the workplace because they require um, particular management style than any other person.
Right.
So I admonish them to look out for yourself. And I know sometimes people can be insensitive and saying, well, why doesn't she just leave? It's
It's
not
not that
always
easy.
simple and it's not always that easy because
Right.
not only is she being abused, maybe physically, emotionally, or verbally, but she may be abused financially to where she doesn't even have enough money to
Right.
leave.
Right.
So she,
Right. That
and
hindrance there. Hmm.
yeah, she has a hindrance there, and she's having to look out for children if they are involved. So it's not
Absolutely.
always that easy. But
Right.
whatever you can do, your part to help make her transition easy, do so. Also, I like to take a look at sex. Michelle, we didn't talk about sex here.
And we're running up on we're running a little past the hour, but go ahead. This is good. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so this is the good part here. We say the best for last. Sex. Sometimes you can just be too stressed for sex.
Listen.
And
Hallelujah. Listen, when you worrying about how you gonna pay your mortgage, how you gonna make that car payment, how how you gonna get some food in the house. Yeah,
how you
all that loving don't seem sexy anymore. Trust me. That loving don't ain't you ain't getting the same high that you got a year ago when things are going well.
it absolutely. So you have like seven responses there. Uh, you may try to avoid it because, as you mentioned, there's just too many other distractions going on, or you may just feel power you like I don't even feel like I can make a change here
Right.
with the current situation that's going on. So that's almost like a victim type mentality, right?
Right.
The
Mhm.
next is um, there's conflict. You're gonna be too mad, too angry, as you said, to be in a sexual mood with your partner. It's
Hallelujah.
just it's especially if you're counting on budgeting and your budget is just shot.
Listen.
You you
This
have
is real talk. This
you
is
have
listen.
and
Yeah, this is
it's
real talk. This is really
this
happening.
is it happens. So when the money's not right, forget
Mhm.
it. It's not
Forget
happening.
it. It's not
Again,
happening on any front. And you know what? And I'm over here like jumping in my seat. I'm like, yeah, because you know what? No one knows to the extent that it takes to get emotionally involved when you're having that particular uh, reaction or action with someone. You got to have your whole head in the game. And when
yeah,
your whole head is not in the game because you're worried and you're stressed, the body it shuts down because it doesn't have time to deal with that. It doesn't have time to deal with the pleasure moments because it's so busy trying to keep you from a complete meltdown that the body starts to just shut down on things that it says it's important, but it's not that important right now, right?
exactly.
And some people may argue and say, no, well, when these things happen, that's what I go run to. Well, not every it doesn't happen like that for everybody.
Yeah.
There's some
And
shutdowns.
and another thing, when you get in your 40s, you mentioned this early, when women get into menopause, or
Yeah.
in the South here we call it private summers.
Is that what it's
So
called?
it's called,
Private summers. I like
yeah, private summers here. So when your body starts going through that physical change as it's preparing
right.
to go through menopause, you're not as lubricated as you once were before.
Right.
It
Yeah.
takes you a little more to for the foreplay, and your
Right.
estrogen levels are probably down.
Right.
And even for men, they may not admit it, but their testosterone levels are low too. So they may not be as sexual either. They may not have that erection as frequently as they once did
Right.
because of stress and taking a look at their T levels. So I like to suggest to my clients too, go see your medical doctor and talk about that,
Right.
because want to have that open communication with your medical profession. Don't try to solve everything on your own or be macho or
Right.
too proud to say, oh, I can handle that. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Just give me some Viagra
Hmm.
pills. Yeah, Viagra pills. Come on, Cialis. Okay. If that's what the doctor
Okay.
recommends, okay, or alcohol, really be
Well,
sensible about.
yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think a lot of people turn to a lot of different things to cope with the issues, but I think you're making some serious points here. It's that you just got to take care of yourself, and and just conversation alone just tells you what a threat bad stress is, because not all stress is bad, but when it attacks the body in a way that it diminishes from your overall being, reduces your immune system, and starts allowing the body to be open to disease and all types of things, that's when you know you got a problem. And usually, if you're lucky, you can catch it in time, meaning
Yeah,
that you can catch it where you can remedy and you haven't had some major thing happen to you. Where some people, I mean, people are just having strokes. You know what I mean, and that enables you completely. Some people. So there's
hmm,
just so many things that can happen, but I'm glad you brought up the point. And as you're winding down from this conversation, I think that let's give them, Deborah, you know just some real quick solutions just to get started, to think
yeah,
about ways of managing stress, because I think this is a good segue into what do I do? How do I handle it? Do I go into a corner and do yoga for 20 hours? Will that work? you know?
exactly. Well, I'll wrap up. Let's start with the intimate situation here, and I'll start with that. There are many couples out there that are living like the roommates because
Mm,
they've lost that intimate connection. They're are so engrossed in their careers that they've lost that intimate connection. What I recommend is take the time to reconnect, even if it's just holding that person's hand for 5 minutes and looking into their eyes. That means turning off all your devices, the telephone, your smart devices, televisions, whatever it is. Find a room to where it's just the two of you and have a conversation, a quality conversation. Look into each other's eyes and said, it's time to reconnect and let's start now. That's a starting point because some have difficulty doing that.
Mhm.
With another piece I like to recommend is take a look at your values. Some of your
Mhm.
values or your guiding principles may be in conflict,
Mm.
may have gotten out of sync. You may believe one thing, but your actions showing something entirely different.
Wow.
So, if you want to take a value assessment, I work on that as well. To let's take a look at what your values are, your guiding principles are, because sometimes they can get compromised, especially in a working situation, a working environment, when you're trying to do the right thing and you really want to have the best outcome for everyone involved. Michelle, I know you like to, oh, with finances. With
Mhm.
finances, sometimes we get so afraid because of the bills that are due, or our budget is out of sync, or there's just not enough money to take you through the month. In this day and time, for some, it's just to get gas in the car for tomorrow.
Oh my God,
So,
yeah.
what I like to recommend there is, first of all, it's going to be okay. Right now, things may seem overwhelming, and rightfully so. But it took time to get in that situation. But the good news is you can take charge where you back in control of your finances. So if you don't know where to start, I can help you with that to really take a look at, are you overspending? Are you in debt? Do you need to look
Right.
at debt reduction? Do you need to look at budgeting? Not everybody is struggling in that manner. Some people are at a place where I want to start looking at saving for my future. I'm paying off my mortgage, I'm paying off my car, I'm paying off my credit cards, which is great. Now I want to start saving for my future. That's a good place to be or to strive for. And then there are those that are debt free that are looking to make contributions from a philanthropic standpoint and start building legacies. That's really what life is all about.
I
Building
agree.
your personal
Mhm.
legacy. How are
Right.
you showing up in life? How do you want to show up for your kids, and what example do you want to set for them?
That's
And Michelle, I know you have some products that help back on that intimate mood, the scents, the aromatherapy. I know you got some good stuff, girl, because once you get all that energy cleansed, once you get the mindset right, I'm gonna turn it over to the product. I said I love being able to have your product offering to my clients when it's all about well-being. One thing I did think about, Michelle, before I turn it over, also
Mhm.
with companies with wellness initiatives. Sometimes I know employees probably think if we have one more annual blood drive, I'm going to. I, I'm,
So true.
making I'm making a plea here to employers. If you need help putting together a wellness initiative, contact Michelle and I. We'll be glad to
Yeah.
sit down with you and take a look
Yes.
at what you currently have in place and where we can offer suggestions and solutions that will
Mhm.
be beneficial to your workplace and create a better culture and wellness environment. So
Yep.
with that said, Michelle, turn it
No,
over to you with some
that was a great
solutions.
segue in. Thank you. And absolutely, I think we're all about excuse me, we're all about health and wellness. We're trying to bring solutions in every aspect,
Mhm.
personal, business. it doesn't matter. I think the core is that we care, and we're in the fields that we're in because we're trying to make an impact. And I think that what Deborah has been conveying is that she's seeing it. I've seen it. I've seen it on a personal level. I've seen it on a business level, just based upon the professions that we're in. And what we're trying to point out is that you've got to find a balance. You need a
Mm-hmm.
balance. You got to have a balance. And no matter what you do, or no matter what you take, nothing is going to help if you don't get your life together. Meaning, you got to take care of yourself. You got to take time for yourself. You got to do what you have to do to keep you healthy, mentally, spiritually, and physically. It all comes to a head when you're sick and you can't do anything for yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
what we're saying is that we don't have all the answers, but we've got some great solutions. We can help from a personal and from a business perspective. um, I know that I'm going to keep sharing as much information as I can, because I want to keep giving you as much information as knowledge when I come across it. And I hope and pray that you take it and you're able to utilize it, and keep spreading it to somebody who may not have access to that information. So, with that being said, I think the last thing I want to say in regards to this whole discussion about stress is that we're all going to have something happen in our lives, whether big, small, medium, no matter what it is. But it's how you respond to
Mm-hmm.
that particular situation is going to dictate how you are mentally, physically, and spiritually. We have got
Absolutely.
to learn, all of us, to respond to things. And if you believe in God, or if you don't, or whatever you believe in, you have to know that at the end of the day, how you respond to something is going to dictate everything. So, I would like to uh, leave us on that note, and hoping that you got something out of this discussion. I know that me and Deborah will be talking more about different things. We're going to try to come with different topics, but the bottom line is that whole body essentials is exactly what it is. E2 Solutions is the name that Deborah goes under for the personal coaching, and so I encourage anyone, and it doesn't have to be a physical. She's got it set up where you can reach out to her and she can help you over the phone, online. She's got all types of ways of connecting with people, via the internet. So I mean, we're in a technology age, and she's utilizing that. So if you need her in that capacity, please reach out to me, to her, or if not, find someone who you're comfortable with reaching out to and dealing with. So it doesn't matter. We just want to make sure that we're keeping you all in mind. So with that being said, I want to thank Deborah for coming on and having this discussion with me. And I pray all have a great night. And I hope that you got something from this. And we're going to post as much resources that we can that we've talked about in the comment box. So after this video airs, you can kind of see some of the comments. And again, thank you so much for allowing us to share the space. Good night, Deborah.
Michelle, Michelle, before you go,
Oh, okay.
you know, we talked about coming live to cities here. So
Oh,
we're planning.
that's right. I didn't even mention that. Thank you for
Yeah,
bringing that up.
yeah, Michelle and I are planning a road trip. So let us know if you want us to come your way. We'll bring some great workshops. We'll do empowering women here, all about health and wellness and relationships. And Michelle will have a product. I'll have products and great coaching here. So Michelle, with that, say more.
Oh,
Just
absolutely. I think Deborah said it best. Yeah, I mean, the whole intent is to kind of bring these these workshops with different types of people that we would like to have attend with us at these events to kind of give as much information as we can. And that's going to be
Hmm.
the purpose, is getting the message out to you directly so that we're there in your space and having the things available so that you can take advantage of it right then and there. And we're going to bring people that can talk to or be that subject matter expert that can help further our discussion into these different things that relate to health and wellness. So absolutely look out for us. If you're in an area where you don't get a lot of these things happening, let us know. If you feel like there's a good, good amount of people along with you that want to experience some of the things that we have and what we can bring to the table, absolutely reach out to us. Let us know. We'll put you on the list. But yep, we're going to do a road trip, and get this message out, and hopefully we can help as many people as we can, and that's the purpose.
And for 2016, we are planning a spiritual retreat where
Oh,
we're
yes.
talking about just detoxing and just a total cleansing, because there are times you just need to take that moment from
Mm,
all the busyness and just
right.
cleanse your energy, cleanse your heart, cleanse your mind, cleanse your body, and just rejuvenate some. And that's what it's really all about: rejuvenation, renewal,
Mm.
strength. So we're planning that for 2016. More details will follow as Michelle and I plan our upcoming discussions, as well as
Awesome.
coming to your area. You want to give them an email address where they can reach us, Michelle?
Well, we've got two. Why don't we what I would like to do is leave that information in the comment box, and this way
Okay.
they can, yeah, and they can go into that comment box, and it'll be open for everyone to see, and we'll have all the information and all the resources excuse me, there. And
Okay.
then if anyone has any questions, we can respond in that manner. So is that okay? We okay there?
We're good. Two thumbs
Uh,
up.
Two thumbs up. All right, Deborah. Thank you, because you reminded me of so many wonderful things, and I don't want to lose the momentum in any of those areas. So thank you for bringing that up. Look for us, like us, give us feedback. Tell us, what we did good, what we did bad, and we'll improve. We'll do whatever it takes, because it's all about spreading the message of health and wellness. And again, I want to thank everyone for this discussion on take charge of your life. And again, we'll see you soon with interesting events and products and solutions. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Good night.